As if things couldn't get any crazier. Today, we're going to talk about how serious it is when it comes to your money. How donations have been taken by certain government agencies. How spying on what you have is completely legal because of how you're paying for things, such as credit cards and bank transfers. Also, we're going to talk about how all our money is taken from us through taxes, given all over the world, but we can't give hardly anything to the North Carolina victims, kind of like Hawaii. And the Department of Homeland Security to tell us they don't have the money to cover these expenses? Gotta be honest with you, what world are we living in? And why do we think America is on top when our own government is fighting against us? Not only that, Bank of America accounts balanced to zero. Now, it could have been a computer glitch, but when these kind of things happen, it allows them to dig more in those records to find out what's causing this and to find out about balances and more information. Do you feel like they're violating your privacy? I do. Guys, let's talk about these things today because it deals with your money and how precious it is. I mean, here we are. We work hard for our money to then turn around and say, okay, the donations that we've given have now been confiscated. The fact that we want to help other people, but the government won't allow us. The fact that our taxes are being taken from us and given to countries instead of giving it to our own people. And then on top of that, how safe is the money in the bank? Let's dive into all these things today. Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, that's okay, but let us know what you think about the content of today's video. That means the world to us when we hear feedback. Your comments helps other people kind of talk through some things and gain some wisdom and knowledge. And of course, when a lot of people are putting their information in and talking about it, it allows us to get the best decisions for our families. So keep doing that. Now, today we're going to be talking about several things, but it all kind of boils down to government's overreach and the fact of our money. First, I want to bring up an announcement about the North Carolina situation. There's been two things floating around. And of course, they've come to deny it now, but the truth is, if people are talking about it, that means they've seen firsthand knowledge of it. Well, there was a report that came out that stated that the donations that we're bringing to certain areas for North Carolina damages, things that were brought in and given donations to, that FEMA and other government agencies, or basically para-agencies, ones that work with the government, were kind of taking these funds and they were going to oversee it to see where this money needs to go versus, a church doing it or versus some other group doing it. Now, is there any truth to that? I don't know. But if there's been several reports on it from local people on the ground, don't you think there may be some truth to it? Now, here's another thing. Think if we did not have X. Think if we did not have independent journalists. Think if we did not have people trying to document what's actually happened. We would never know these things. There's also another report where there's people flying helicopters, planes, and drones trying to find people they could help, trying to rescue people they could help, give things to people that were in need. And FEMA and Department of Homeland Security told them to stop or they will be arrested. They actually threatened drone users. So now remember, that's how you can look at the land without having to get on it. It's probably one of the economic and most safest ways to look at an area to say, there's danger here, there's people here on this roof, there's people here in this water, there's people here with this damage in their car, and no, they don't want you to fly over. Why would they not want that? Why does our government hate us so freaking much? Now, I don't want to get angry. I just don't get it. And that brings me right into the next story. Kamala Harris makes an announcement yesterday that her government, that they're for the people. They're there. She's got her new little FEMA outfit on because, presidents are so political and governors are so political, and we believe all their jargon that they take off their suit coats, take off all their, their business attire and put on their hurricane and weather vest and the Leatherman jackets and trying to look like they've been, doing the work. So stupid. That's such kindergartner level stuff there. But anyway, she puts hers on, dons it on, and she says she is going to give $750 to every family. Now, I have firsthand knowledge. I know a gentleman who is up there who says he's probably got 100 $700,000 worth of damage to his property. His house was okay, but he owns a farm. He's got barns down. He's got greenhouses down. He's got roads torn slap up. He's got a rental house that's got some flooding issues. And he's going to get $750 from the government. $750 from the government. Now guess what? He probably paid more into taxes last month than to get $750 back. But now let's go through the numbers here, because again, this really matters. This really matters. The government can give $750 to each person, all the while. So far, this year, government has given $24.4 billion to Ukraine, $11.3 billion to Israel, $1.9 billion to Ethiopia, $1.6 billion to Jordan, $1.4 billion to Egypt, $1.1 billion to Afghanistan, $1.1 to Somalia, $1 million to Yemen, $987,000 to Congo, $896 to Syria, and then $9,000 per illegal immigrant that has entered the U.S. But you, as a tax-paying citizen in an area that has been devastated, kind of like Hawaii, you get $750. Good luck to you. Have fun. Keep paying your taxes, or we're going to come for you anyway. But you get $750. Does that make sense to you? And here's what I get mad at. You know who I blame along with our government? I blame our leadership, our representatives. Because every one of them will grandstand and talk about how bad of a policy this is, but guess what? They're going to still sign the bill to send it all this billions of dollars over across the seas. I heard a politician yesterday, well, we're not sending the money to Ukraine. We're sending our old stuff. It's kind of like turning in your old cell phone and getting a new one. And we're just basically putting that money here in America for American jobs. That is such a cop-out. And what it is they're getting kickbacks from all these defense contractors and lobbyists to ultimately fund these things, to give the old junk to Ukraine, which is still perfectly fine, for us just to upgrade because there's money in it. There's no money in it given to North Carolina or to Georgia or to Hawaii. That's their jobs, isn't it? You would think they would embrace it. But no, Kamala, she makes this stunning announcement that you're going to get $750. Do you realize they wouldn't even buy a new fridge or a new dishwasher into a house that's flooded, much less do a whole cleanup? You think insurance is going to do well for them? This is where I thought FEMA was supposed to be and help and actually emergency management to actually get something done. But it shows how inept government is. That's why I'm with Elon and Vivek when they say that 75% of the government should be done away with. It should, because they're worthless when it comes to things like this. When they are supposed to be, this is supposed to be their bread and butter. When catastrophic things happen, they're supposed to shine because they can. But no. They're just being typical government. Before we go any further with this video, and gets me even more upset, a word from our sponsors. Because to be honest with you, when we have to depend on someone else, that shows that we lack our funds or need help when it comes to budgets. That's why the sponsor is important. Getting into credit card debt is so easy. If you're struggling with credit cards, personal loans, medical debt, collections, you need to check out PDS Debt. PDS Debt provides you with a service to match you with the best debt solution, tailored personally to your financial situation. If you're making payments each and every month and your balances are not going down, PDS has solutions for you. Everyone with $10,000 or more in eligible debt qualifies, and there are no minimum credit score requirements. Bad or fair credit is accepted. Save more while paying off your debt in fractions of the time. Stop waiting and start saving. Get a free debt analysis right now. pdsdebt.com/themax. It only takes 30 seconds. That's pdsdebt.com/themax. Let PDS Debt get you heading in the right direction. Now, before we move on to the Bank of America situation and your own money being surveilled, Mayorkas came out, also Department of Homeland Security, and just a winner. He's done great on the border, and that is completely facetious, by the way. He says, we are meeting immediate needs for the money now, but FEMA is not expected to have enough money to even get through the hurricane season. Now, this is the same Department of Homeland Security that has given billions to illegal immigrants here and has focused money to take care of them. That is the truth. Now, this is not the money sent to Ukraine, the money sent to all these places. That's the full government. But the Department of Homeland Security has allocated tons of billions of dollars to take care of illegal immigrants. However, they can't have enough money to even get through hurricane season. Now, there hasn't been that many hurricanes this year. Trust me, I live in a hurricane zone. I live in the place where hurricanes come. And they don't have enough money to get through it, but they can give $9,000 to $10,000 to each immigrant on a little gift card and pay for their homes and pay for them to have things, but they can't give any more money to hurricane victims or to take care of the damage. Our government hates us, people. Now, let's move on to two other stories, because it shows that if you don't find independence and you find sustainability and you find how to prep and understand that no one cares for you like you care for yourself. I bring that up all the time, but it's true. My wife is the most important thing on this earth. My kids are the most important thing on this earth other than my faith. So do I believe that the government's going to do better by them or me? So therefore, that's why I have to have that independence and make sure that I'm being smart with my money. Kind of like the sponsor that we were just talking about. But the thing is this. Bank of America came out yesterday. If you saw this, and again, this is why I tell you to get your money out of these big nationalized banks, that they had an issue, a hiccup with their system, and ultimately showed that your money was zero in the accounts. Well, people, of course, panicked and freaked out. I think there's a bigger story here. Two things. How quick could your money be taken away from you? Because remember, when we put it in the bank, that bank, kind of like the old school way in the cowboy and Indian days, we talk about the old West, they kept all the money in the Wells Fargo or in the bank. So therefore, if you had $1,000, you put $1,000 in there, they kept $1,000 under your name sitting in that bank. Well, under fractional lending, under this modern monetary theory, that money's not kept there. So your money is basically just a digitized blank, comma, 0, 0, zeros, whatever it is. So truthfully, how quick could your money be taken away from you or stopped from you getting it? Bank of America freaked out yesterday, and they said, well, look, people can't freak out about this. It's all going to be okay. Your money is safe. Well, truly is it? Could you have went into the Bank of America yesterday and say, look, I've got $10,000 in my account. I want to pull it right now. Did you know you'd have to sign a form for that? Did you know that you couldn't just get that out? You have to schedule those things because your money's not kept there. So how safe is your money? Now, am I telling you to take all your money out of the bank? No, I've told you that before. But I am saying this. If everything that you own has got someone else's name and hands and authoritarian way on it, then you're up a creek without a paddle. If your kids are in a government school, do you know that when they leave your premises and they go to their premises, they're over your children for the day? They're basically getting a signed waiver from you as the parent. Because guess what? If they lock down that school for any reason, weather, problems, gunmen, whatever it may be, guess what? You have no rights to get your children. Don't think I'm lying. Look at it. Same way with banks. When you put your money in there, they have the right to hold your money. Now, can you get it? Yeah, you're supposed to get it. But in a situation with catastrophic events, or in a situation like this where there's a little hiccup in their system, you may not be able to get your funds. So if you're not over what you have, then do you actually have it? Do you tangibly have control of it? No. So therefore, you better make sure that you're putting some stuff up and you're making sure that you're taking care of yourself, because there's banks like this. What if they were hacked and they lost everything? Well, eventually the government would back it, and eventually you may get your money, but how long is that? And truthfully, is it safe when you know that you may need that money today or tomorrow and you can't get it for another 2 or 3 weeks? We're living in this kind of world, people, that the digitized form of taking care of us is not really having money in the bank. It's just having a number on a website telling you what you have and that you got to schedule it so you can get your money out of the bank. That's a big deal. So if we see more banks having these quote-unquote issues, what's causing it? Now here's another thing. While this is doing this situation, guess what it does? It allows people to dig into your banking probably a little bit more, because then they got to find out what you had in there, what you've spent money on while they've had this issue. What's your last deposits to make sure that everything matches up? Internally they're getting all that information from you because they're trying to refill your income or your account that what it's supposed to be. So don't you think there's probably a lot more surveillance going on just by that bank? Well, that's not the only thing. Mike Lee came out and did a post I thought was huge. And again, something we already know, but we just act like, it's no big deal. It's nothing we can do about it. Mike Lee came out with this yesterday, and I want to read it. It says, did you know your federal government is spying on Americans' purchases because of credit cards, bank accounts? And even though you don't want them to, they're knowing everything that you're spending your money on if you're not using cash. Did you know that the U.S. Treasury and the FBI have surveilled financial transactions? Of course, terminology like we talked about before with Bible, MAGA, Trump, those kind of things. Anything's dealing with firearms or religion. So anytime I tell you to buy some things, buy it with cash if you can. Did you know that the SEC has been quietly constructing a centralized database called the Consolidated Audit Trail, designed to track every stock market transaction by personal information of all the millions of Americans that are trading? These actions are deeply unconstitutional and a violation of the Fourth Amendment rights and enabling political persecution. That's why I introduced the Save Privacy Act. Now, he goes into why he believes this is a good thing, and it's something that he's introducing. Why have you not heard this from any other person other than people like Thomas Massie, Mike Lee, or Rand Paul? Why? Because there's several people like Dick Durbin and things like that are pressing for more surveillance on you. They're wanting credit cards and Walmarts and big superstores to give more information to the government about you. Do you think any of that's legal? Especially if you've done nothing wrong and you're innocent. Why is it their business what you spend your money on? Here's why. If you're digitized money, then it's not technically your money. It's almost like you're renting or loaned out your own money, because then they have a say over what you can or can't spend money on. That's why we say the overregulation and the burdens of what our established congressmen and leadership and presidents are doing is completely against the American people. If you don't pay your taxes, they're going to audit you and they're going to penalize you, and you're going to end up going to jail or paying your taxes. However, they can take your money, use it for things that you didn't agree with, and you have no say over it. They'll name it like the Inflation Reduction Act, or they'll name it some infrastructure bill, but all the while, it's not going to actually help you, it's going to help them. And now they want to know more about your money. Because if they know more about your money, then they can control what you spend your money on. So therefore, if you can keep using cash, you are already in a parallel society. If you can keep bartering, you're already in a parallel economy. When they try to get you to, and especially like Bitcoin, it just makes me flustered. When all these people tell you you're going to get in a parallel society, but do it all digital, where there's records, even though they say there's not, there's records, because if a Bank of America can be quote unquote hit, if a Walmart quote unquote can be hit, if all of a sudden the federal government can be hit, or the Republican establishment be hit, or Trump, or whoever, when digitized information is on the World Wide Web, there's going to be someone strong enough to hit it, like voting machines or whatever it may be. So the parallel society they're wanting you to embrace is some kind of digitized currency that nobody would want in a catastrophic situation. What did I say? North Carolina. How many of you are using Bitcoin to pay for some gas and some bread? Not a one of you. The parallel society is cash. It's always been cash. And until we realize that, until we wake up to it, this information like what's happening with Mike Lee, and Grady brought it to the surface, but you know what? No one's going to do one thing about it. Because the government's too big, Mike Lee doesn't have enough friends, and the Republicans especially are going to keep on funding the big government instead of worried about the little small people that it's quote unquote supposedly supposed to represent. Whew, I think my blood's boiling after this vlog. Alright guys, I get mad and flustered because I literally, not kudos to me, but I wake up at 4 a.m., I milk my cows, I go out and do my chores on all my animals, hundreds of animals. I literally go to my normal job, I vlog, I'm sweaty because I've been working out. I come home and I'll do hay, wood, some kind of chores this afternoon to go in and spend time with my family to take care of them. Now I missed out a lot of time with my children, even though they're homeschooled and my wife is able to be with them and they're able to be home every day, because I have to work to take care of them. But not only that, to lose 40% of my income to the government to give my money away, and then turn around and worry about the other 60% that the government knows everything about and wants to hinder you from spending money on something. And then I go to bed at 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night because of all the other chores I had to do. So I get flustered when it comes down to all the work I do to then turn around and for these politicians to completely frivolously spend my money that they just take from me. And then the fact that they can't even help out Americans. They won't help out all these other countries because of the kickbacks. there's something completely wrong with the system. I hope Trump wins, because I hope Vivek and Elon get in there and they do just what they're talking about doing. Dismantle the system. Because that's exactly what we need. You don't need to just drain the swamp. You need to drain the swamp, backfill it, and make it whole again. Because it's ridiculous on both sides, Democrats and Republicans, how we're being led astray and how we've been taken advantage of, all in the name of them telling us what they want us to hear. It's pathetic. $750 for each family in North Carolina. But each illegal gets a gift card, $9,000, $10,000. Gets a free place to stay. But you get $750. That's completely equal, huh? Guys, let me know your thoughts. Again, blood boiling this morning. Sorry about that. I just want us to have some normalcy. And we need good people to represent that, not the people we got. We need truly more Thomas Massey's, more people like Vivek, more people like Mike Lee or Rand Paul. Sadly, we don't have that. Guys, let me know your thoughts. God bless.
Be free.